Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Really appreciate it. My name is May. Sandra introduced me as a program director for the ITSP program. I'm really excited to talk to you today about the indicators website, as well as the tools on the website. But before that, I wanted to get a show of hands on, let me see if I can change, hold on 1 second. This is the indicators website. I'd like to get a show of hands on how many have visited the current website. So you can just use your hand feature in Zoom to do that. And if you can let me know in the chat box, if you will, what are some of the main areas for those of you that have visited the site? What areas have you visited on the website? And if you don't recall from memory exactly where, just sort of your best memory, best estimate, some just topical words that you can use to describe the areas that you visited on the site. Thank you. So before we get into the actual demonstration, I wanted to just take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the website goals. And when we first started thinking about reimagining indicators, my group was really interested in NCSCS and of course in partnership with SCP, we're really interested in ensuring that the website was aligned with the reimagining efforts. That was extremely important because we wanted the website to be reflective of all the important work that goes along with indicators. And there were 3 main areas that we wanted to make sure we hit. The first was sustainability. If you notice, and if you went back and compared the 2018 site to the current site, you will notice that we have a year neutral site. We wanted to make sure that the site was flexible to accommodate the individual reports that were produced and disseminated through the site. The 2018 report was on the website for 2018. For the new website, we have individual reports, which reflect the disaggregation of the main report. We were also interested in ensuring that there was ease of navigation and an enhanced user experience for users visiting the site. And you'll see here some of the areas that we focused on. And I'll point out that the feedback button and the feedback loop was implemented in the new site to ensure that we're capturing feedback from users as they're using the site and encountering challenges or any issues that might have. And I'll show you a little bit about that later as I demo the site. And the third point that we wanted to highlight here in terms of website goals was the fostering of exploration and analysis, especially with the transition of the report into its digital format. Many of you may recall in 2016 was the first transition into a digital format where we went away from the big, thick 1,000-page printed volume into a digital website. And so starting in 2016 up until last cycle, we introduced interactivity for the reports in terms of our figures and our graphics and our ability to provide various outputs for users who are interested in grabbing the PDFs or Excels, PNGs for respective presentations. And one thing that I'm really interested in is the provision of data sources for each of the data sources that are used in the report, so that folks, if people were interested, they could go to the various data sources external to the indicator site and explore a bit further. So the next couple slides just give you a little peek into the impact of the report and the impact that it's had since its release in mid-January. And again, there's a lot of stories and information here, and I'm happy to talk about that at the end of the presentation. And so this is just to give you a snapshot that a total of 33,000 unique users visited the site since January. And so in comparison, during the first 2 weeks of the website release, this website release, we saw 20% more traffic than during the same period in 2018. So this slide talks a little bit about the most viewed pages for 2020 so far. And so I think we have data up here up until mid-June of this year. And you'll see a really telling story about the impact of the State of U.S. Science and Engineering 2020 Summer Report. And State Indicators was also surprisingly extremely popular. So I think there's a lot of really great information here that can really help shape the thinking around some of the content, some of the reports, and what we can do to improve and progress as we're moving forward into the 2020 cycle. I'm sorry, 2022 cycle. This is a little bit of a snapshot on the impact globally of the report as reflected on the website. We have sessions here that are broken out by countries as well as US states. My understanding of a session is defined as all activity of a unique user up until 30 minutes of inactivity. So basically, if a user is online looking at the site for up to 30 minutes, then that's recorded as a unique session. Okay, so before I launch into the demo, just a few points here. I wanted to make sure that if you read these questions here, how can you use the website to really think about your thematic report selections and the choice that you will make in terms of being a reviewer for the thematic report. So I encourage you to think about that as we're going through the site. And of course, after this orientation, please explore, take some time to explore and look through and see what piques your interest. And we're also interested in how the website can be used to promote outreach for the next cycle of indicators. So keeping those two questions in mind, I'll go ahead and start the demo. I also want to mention that I don't mind being interrupted for the demo. I want it to be interactive. So if you have questions along the way as I'm pointing out things, please feel free to stop me and ask your questions.
Hey, May, this is Reba. I was just looking in the chat box, and you may want to speak to whether or not there's an app version of indicators or how this is accessed in a mobile way.
So the website is built to be viewed in any digital format. So it's flexible enough, the design is flexible enough to be viewed on any device. So there's not a separate app that was built. The code behind it is applicable to all types of devices. So if you go to your iPad or whatever, you'll be able to look at all the content on the site. Are there any other questions before I start? Okay. All right. Can you confirm that you can see what I'm seeing in terms of the website?
Right now, we still see your slide that says indicators live demonstration.
Okay, let me go ahead and start sharing the website. 1 second, please. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I see.
We see the website now.
Great, thank you. Okay, so this is the home page. This is, in our opinion, a really, I think, a really attractive landing page for a website. And one of the things that really stands out here is the listing of all the reports. Many times users want to make sure that they know what they're looking at before they actually delve into the content in more detail. So what this homepage provides is a little snapshot or a little abstract of the report with a little attractive thumbnail that provides a little bit more insight into what you're going to get into once you start clicking and reading into the report. There are also tiles along the bottom here that allow you to delve a little bit more into the background of indicators, the state data tool, which I'll briefly show you in a little bit, as well as several of the other topics that I mentioned earlier. And with that, I'll go into this section of the website that lists all of the reports. So if you'd like to explore a little bit further, there's a section called Reports. And you can see here that the same information on the homepage is also highlighted on this reports page. And we also have related excerpts from the summary report that pertain to that specific focus area. And so I'll go ahead and just click a little bit so that you can see the behavior of the site and how it works. These are divided into, I believe, 7 thematic areas. And as we grow in content and in terms of number of reports, we will start seeing some of those thematic areas or focus areas shift on the site so that users can really delve into the focus area of interest and how information is structured and presented. So I'll stop here just for a minute to see if anyone had any questions before I go into an example report. So this is the thematic report, elementary and secondary math and science education. You'll see on the left-hand navigation here, all of the sections that pertain to this report. On the right-hand navigation, on the right-hand panel, we have the authors listed as well as related content. So if people wanted to explore related information that pertains to this thematic report, they can do so with one click. And we also have a banner here that takes people back to the NSB site, where you have some of the other policy pieces that the NSB produces. So I'm clicking on a section here, and you'll see some graphics and tables that are embedded within the narrative. And I'll just point out that if you wanted to, some people are very keen on figures and some only want to read the narrative. So there's a feature here on the website that allows you to close all figures and tables. So if you just wanted to read the narrative, you could do that. And if you wanted to open it up, you can also see what that looks like. There's an ability to pop out the figure to look at it a little bit more closely. And if you hover over the figure, this is what I'm talking about when we say the figures are interactive. You can see the data points bubble up. And this is especially useful for some of the more complex figures that have multiple lines and data points, and it's really difficult sometimes to see. So this really helps. You can also turn off or on any level here or category that you're interested in. And then you also have an ability to download that particular figure. The underlying data is available in Excel. This particular view of the figure is available in PDF and then PNG as well. One of the really cool things, I think it's cool, is that whereas in the previous cycle, we had data available for the entire report on a centralized top navigation, here we have data that's relevant for this specific thematic report within the thematic report. So if you were interested in just the tables for this thematic report, you can open up the view here and you can take a look and you can look at the specific table of interest. And then you can also download it. Figures, same thing. You can look at the figures for this thematic report. You can download all figures if you wanted to, available in zip file or a PDF. And then finally, what I mentioned earlier are data sources, which are really important in terms of providing the transparency that underlies the data and analysis and narratives that Indicators talks about. And so, for example, in this particular figure and thematic report, figure 1-5, here's the title of the actual figure. This is the data provider, National Center for Education Statistics, and then this is the product, which is the survey or the product and the data, the underlying data that was used for this particular figure. And we have these for, of course, all of the figures for all of the thematic reports, including this Science and Engineering Indicators report, which you all hopefully have a copy of. And so, yeah, this is the report that's available in print, but it's also available in its digital format here. And we have the same structure as our thematic reports. One of the important features for the website is also the topical search. If you want to explore a little bit more by topic, you can do so here. You just click on the main topic, and then you have some subtopics here. If you click on that, then that provides you where in any thematic report this particular topic and subtopic appears. So for this particular education advanced placement AP program, if you click here, this will take you back to that part of the thematic report in which it is mentioned. Finally, we have state indicators. Many of you may have seen previous presentations on this. We're currently, state indicators is currently undergoing revamp. So we're looking to provide updated presentations and packaging of the information on the site, including updated figures and that allow more exploration and that's a little bit more user-friendly and intuitive. And so we're working on that currently. I think it's going to be really exciting. And so this, as mentioned earlier, state indicators provide state level information, and it's quite a popular tool that's, I think, really valuable to many stakeholders. This page here provides updates. The data here are updated, I say roughly quarterly. And so this page here provides information on the data updates and what's been updated and which indicators. And if you wanted to go back to the full report, you could do that, or the website. Finally, we have share your thoughts. I mentioned that was really important. We have a little drop down here that allows users to indicate a little bit more about what they were looking for, if they found what they were looking for, how familiar they were, and open text box here that allows users to provide more information. We look at this regularly to see what we can do in terms of content or web presentations or anything related to indicators that we can feed back to our partners and potentially improve either in the current cycle or the next cycle. So I encourage all of you to look at the website, use the feedback button, send comments, send direct comments to whomever, and we're happy to take a look at them.